Hey, it's me again. I've been on here like every day. What's this, day 19? I'm lost now. I'm lost. Hang on. I've got my computer up. I have my computer up to make sure that I can see your comments. So let's see what's going on here. Hang on. What day are we? What day actually are we? Yeah, we are day 19. I've been live every day for 19 days so far. Woo! How you guys doing? How you guys enjoying it so far? Thank you for those that have been sharing, commenting and reaching out personally just to say, you know, that you've been enjoying the videos. It means a lot. Helps me keep going, which is fabulous. So anyway, today is all about giving your pole maintenance, okay? You need to be looking after your poles. If you want them to last a long time, you know, we are literally trusting them with our lives, so we need to look after them, and so many of you don't look after your poles. Let me just make sure, can you just like comment or thumbs up or something to make sure that you can hear me and all is well and I'm not glitching or anything? That would be wonderful. I can't even see me live right now. Am I talking to myself? Maybe. I've done this many times before. oh, actually, I can see. I've seen a couple of flashing up of likes then, so that's thank you. I'm just going to see who else is here. Oh, hi, Brandy. How you doing? Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Shell. Hi, Kathy. Hey, guys. Cool. I like the fact that I can actually see you guys on the computer as well because of this phone. No chance. Look at me. I've still got my little my thing up. Because my door pulls in, the mat is too thick for me to keep the mat down, hence why it's always up. Anyway, so we have more names on the board. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And some of you have found out other memberships and have just sort of like gone, you know what, I'm all in. I think a couple of you have already just gone into, because we do monthly memberships, but we also do like you just pay once and then you have lifetime access, and some of you have already found that, so that's kind of cool to have some of you on board. Anyway, let's get stuck into about pole maintenance, okay? How to check your pole, how to take it down, and all that malarkey. Now I have X poles. I've always used X poles. I've used a couple of R poles. Actually my R pole could do as a service. It's actually in the loft, so I'm not going to do that today. But I've got two X poles here. One with the the switchy bit at the bottom, and then I've got just a normal chrome pole, which is like donkey's years old, standard X pole. It wasn't a pro then, X pole expert, that's what that is. Anyway, who else is here? I always wipe my down with alcohol. Yeah, so it's good that you clean it, but do you actually take it apart and lubricate it and check it over? That's what we're looking at today. I have an X-Pole Stage Light, fantastic shell. The maintenance in the pole is exactly the same, except for you really want to be checking your base as well, especially for you guys who leave your pole up all the time. Even though our members are, you know, I drill it into my members anyway, please check your poles, and then, you know, something happens and then, you know, they'll say, oh, I haven't taken it down for the year, like for the past year. I'm like, you guys know better. Anyway, say no more. So my pole goes up and down pretty much on a daily basis. So I kind of check it, obviously, because I have to tighten it to put it up. So my pole does get checked pretty much daily, but if you're not checking your poles before you use it, please do, okay? So really super easy. I would literally just grab onto the pole. If you have, like, I've got, you know, screwed into my ceiling there, but if you've just got like a dome or something, you can always put, like I used to when I used my dome, is like put a pencil around the dome so that you can visually look up, yeah, no, it's still in line. If it's shifted, you would see your pencil mark, and that would be a really good indication that you need to be you need to tighten your pole, you need to move it back, okay? So that's a really good visual way of looking at it. Now I have the hole in my mat, so I kind of know where my placement is. Like, I don't need to measure it up every time, which I love. So you might want to do the same, measure on the ceiling and then put a mark on the floor. So every time you know, because if some of you are like, oh, it really bugs me having to take my pole down and put it up. It takes too much time. It really shouldn't, okay? It literally only takes seconds. But if you can just mark it on the floor, like just do a circle, you can literally line it up without having to go and get your, what's it called? What's the gauge called? Leveler thing. You know what I'm talking about. You don't have to get your leveler out each time and then whack it into place. That's the annoying bit, isn't it? And that's sort of kind of off-putting. So if you can minimize that and you don't have to, that's what I would do. That's what I used to do, okay? So So that's what I would do. So visually check over. I would always make sure the screws are in, what are these called, grub screws, are all tightened. Okay, you've got 3 at the top. You might have 2 at the bottom if you've just got the old Expert. Obviously with the interlocking poles at the bottom, you've just got the twist. And once you feel like, yeah, that's okay, I would hold on to the pole and I would give it a really good pull, okay? And like, give it as much welly as you can. It should not shift, okay? If it's shifting, you know you need to tighten it. That's basically as much as my check would normally go, and that will be done every single day. So that's what I would recommend that you do, okay? Now, in terms of like taking it down, pulling it apart, I would get in the habit of taking your pole down and, putting it back up. One of the other things as well, I didn't say then, is once you check the grub screws, they might look like they're in, but go and grab your Allen key. Where is it here? Where is my Allen key? I just put them somewhere. I should have found them before I went. Oh, here we go. Always get your Allen key, like literally put them in. Okay? I put it in and then I just see, so I literally just lift, just to see if there's any movement in there. If there is, it needs tightening anyway. So obviously it's in there, you just tighten it. But yeah, that's what I would do, is just tighten that up. Especially those guys who don't take their poles down regularly. And I would actually get in a habit of taking it down, or, just having a visual check, at least once a month, putting it back up as well. Get used to understanding how your pole should look. In terms of like cleaning, I would lubricate maybe once every 6 months, once a year. I don't usually do it much more than that, but I do take my pole down a little bit more. I mean, I take it down every day, but I do take it apart maybe once a month. It doesn't take very long, but that's what we're going to go through, okay? Spirit level, thank you, Jennifer. I've just seen your message there. Spirit level, hey, Tanisha. If you commented before the last 4 people, I can't see it. Annoying, I know, but I'll be able to see it after. So what I'm going to do is I prop you here. I can show you how I take my pole down, in the hopes that if you've had a partner that's put your pole up and you're like, I don't know how to take my pole down or put it back up, I really want you to take this time to understand so that you can do it yourself. And you've got to keep yourself safe and you know what your pole actually looks like in and out. So I am going to take the pole down. So my pole comes down really easy. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to tilt you up a bit, hopefully you don't tilt too far and fall over. That'd be my luck, wouldn't it? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to undo. So this is the God, I can't talk today. Expo Pro, okay? So I'm just going to undo the 3 grub screws. And I'm going to loosen them. I personally don't take them all the way out, but I do take them as far as I can without them falling out. But if you want to take them all the way out, you're totally welcome to. But this is how I just take my pole down really quickly. So undo those 3, simply turn it, twist it in your anti-clockwise direction. It will lower. And then what I do, because I have a lip, because the base sits into my mat, so I just lift it up. So I lift it up first, and then I can slide it down, okay? Just because I've got the, I can't talk today, the ball mounts, okay? But if you, still the same thing, even if you've got a dome, okay? You just got to be careful as you lower the pole that the dome doesn't just slide off the end, okay? But either way, bring it down. So once you've taken the pole down, we can take it apart. So that... I told you it'd fall. So that's as simple as it can come. It can come down as easy. It goes up as well. It's super, super easy. So if you need space anytime, up and down, super easy. Nothing like stages. So who was I talking to earlier? I think it was Jennifer. And she was saying, oh, I'm a bit worried about using, she's always used freestanding poles. I'm a bit worried about using a floor to ceiling pole because I'm in rental accommodation. I'm like, I've been in rental accommodation pretty much forever. And, I've never had a problem with a floor to ceiling pole. So much easier to put up and put down. Just look how easy I've just taken that down. You can always just lean that into a corner. Okay, I don't know if you can see my other ones. Okay, So my partner's a metal fabricator, so he just makes me all these little things. So I've got this up here, and I've got my chrome pole here, and then I've got my, what do you call it, aerial pole, swing pole, whatever you want to call it. It's just got a grip back on it. So I've got my poles all set up in the corner, but if you haven't got anything like that, just lean it up, or just, you know, roll it behind your sofa or something if you needed that space. It's super, super easy, guys, okay? So let's go about taking the pole apart. Let me just see if you've got any questions. I put my pole maintenance in my diary, otherwise the day comes and I can't get my pole out of its base. Yes, you've got to, guys. You have to take your poles down regularly, because you'll get to a point which you'll probably see quite often, and people always ask, guys, my pole is stuck, I can't get it down, I'm moving house or whatever. So you don't want it to get stuck. Another thing is if you've got grub screws for changing it from static to spin, make sure you undo those grub screws a lot, okay? The reason why is because if those grub screws are not completely free of the thread inside, you're going to ruin the thread inside, and that's the bit where you like turn it up and turn it down. So when it gets stuck, it's because usually the thread is buggered because you haven't undone the grub screws enough, and it's ruined it inside. I only know this because my partner's a metal fabricator, and we helped quite a few other of our members who ruined their poles by not doing their scrub screws properly, and then he had to resort their thread out inside the pole. So unless you know somebody who can do all that for you, you may as well just look after your pole, okay? Take it down, unscrew the grub screws properly. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to hopefully set you up over here. All right, okay. Let me just see if you've got any questions so far. No, all good. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I have at the top here, move it there, I have this extra extended bit, okay? So I'm going to take this off. So all I'm going to do, actually I don't think this is the right one, isn't it? No, I need the bigger one. So you need the fatter hex key. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I can't talk today. Get the fatter hex key. I think it's this one. Awesome. So I'm going to undo both. So I'm going to push it in, undo it, and I'm going to do the same with the other one. And the reason why is because I'm going to take the part inside out. So you need to undo both, okay? Like so. So once you've undone both, you should be able to take it apart quite easily, okay? If you haven't taken it apart for a while, you may find this gets stuck, okay? So again, this is why it's really important to be able to take your pole apart and investigate and see what it looks like inside. So there we go. So that's the X joint inside. So I would literally visually look at it and just see if there's any cracks or really like severe damage in it. Because if it is damaged, then you kind of need that part to be replaced. You can just buy these separately, message X pole, or you know, it depends what pole you have. If you don't have anything that increases the stability in the pole, I would question whether it's safe to use. You know, because we've come a long way with poles, and for what we do, that's why these joints are inside, to make sure it's nice and tough. I know X-Pole used to do a screw-in one a long time ago, but obviously they've now go into these X joints. So just be aware of how your pole is put together. If you don't have that bit in between, there's going to be a weakness there. And if if that part is being swung upon, it's going to get looser and looser if you don't have that bit that's strengthening it inside. So this is why it's really important when you buy a pole, it should be a reputable pole that really understands what we do on the pole. Does that make sense? So, you know, as much as there's lots of other poles on the market, there's cheaper ones, and you know, they may have great reviews. Okay, reviews can be faked. Just remember are the people that are commenting, do they actually know what they're talking about? Or, without being rude, are they just people's like partners who've bought them because they've looked and thought, oh, that's a good review one, that don't really understand what we do? So it isn't until it's broken later, after use, you know, that good review is already written. Does that make sense? So I would always go through a reputable pole. Okay, that's just my little 2 tips. So yeah, always just visually check, make sure it's all good. You can also grease this as well, okay? So just general, normal maintenance grease is fine. You could always use a bit of like WD-40. I think I've got my partner's spray, very similar. Got all this. Okay. So this is just like it just says it's a multi-purpose spray. It's just basically a lubricant. So any lubricant, you can literally spray it on. So you can just spray it onto that part there. Okay, you can use a cloth if you wanted to. I just wanted to show you what I do. Just to make sure that it can go in and out easy. You don't want anything to get stuck, all right? So that's what I do. So then I would literally just put it back in, making sure it's the right way, Kelly. And there's arrows usually on this with the X pole. Okay. And you make sure it's all lined up. Okay, there's 2 holes, so there's got to be 2 ways to tighten it up, and then literally tighten it back up. So just do one bit at a time. That's what I do. Sometimes I take it all apart, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I just do one bit at a time. Then you need to find that hole again, which is get in there. So if you wiggle around. Okay, there we go. One. Go the other way, Kelly. There we go. Just make sure you've done it up the right way. I've done that many times. Right, and then I'll do exactly the same in this middle bit. I'm going to do it now just because it needs doing. So I'm going to undo it. There we go. Might need to give it a bit of a welly. So I always put the short end in. I don't put the long end in. So you've got the longer lever to be able to prise it open. Like so. Take it apart. Okay, visually check it. As you can see, these are quite old, but visually there's not, it's not damaged, it's not cracked. If you've dropped your pole, that's where it might look damaged. If you've taken it down and like really dropped it, or if it's fallen down, you may have cracked it. So it's really important just to make sure that, it's all good. And again, I just greased it up. Just lubricate it. Again, you can wipe it off if you need to, but you can wipe the pole down afterwards. So I really don't care if I get grease on it right now. I'm happy with it. I'm just going to put it back together. Doesn't take long, guys. Like, it's taking me long right now because I'm talking to you about it. Do it back up. There you go. Okay, so that's not turned tight. That's where you've got to check it, okay? Don't just believe that it is tightened up. Because again, if you check it, that's done. So if that was still loose, I'd be like, right, what's going on with this thing? So I would be taking out the middle bit again, and I would be doing it up on its own. Have you done that before, guys? Do you know how this works? I should have shown you that, shouldn't I? So you understand how it tightens in the pole. So if you have a look, there's this like hole down the middle, if that makes sense to you, yeah. So this is how you when when you close it, obviously it doesn't tighten to the pole, if that makes sense. And then when you put this, oh god, I'm so sorry. When you put wrong one, when you put your hex key in, and you can turn it and you expand it, you should be able to see that it opens up a little bit more. If it doesn't open or close when you're doing that, there's something wrong with it, okay? So when you want to expand it, it's because you're expanding it when it's in here, and that's going to make it nice and tight in the pole to stop it moving. Does that make sense? So again, I've opened it up right now, so I'm going to put the thing back in, because it won't go back in anyway. Get in there, okay? And I'm going to close this gap up again. Can you see that? Okay, so if I open it up as much as I can, and then I'm just going to, so can you see that gap there? Right, now I'm going to close this side. Can you see that? Get out. Can you see that gap is now quite small compared to that side? Yeah? Hopefully this makes sense to you, right? Right. So I'm going to put this back in now. So that's all working fine. So you know this should work when you put it in your pole, okay? So I'm not afraid of getting grubby. But you can always put some gloves on if you are, you know, one of those people that like, no, I can't do that. I'd rather be responsible for my own safety than rely on others. That's just me. So now I'm going to make sure that it's tightened back up in between. And sometimes I always find it's a little bit fiddly. Depends if it's been... And sometimes like this one is at a slight angle, and it is just the way it is. There we go. Okay, that's still loosened, so I'm going to go again. Always check, guys. I'm back. did I lose connection as per freaking normal? Hopefully I can keep it. So that's how I would check my pole. Then I would come down. Let me just see if you've got any questions with that, guys. No questions, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, hang on. I was looking for a silicone pole this week. There's one for sale from China that looks like X pole for $50. Don't do it, peeps. You know what, Kathy? It's hilarious, right? Because there's another pole brand that a lot of other people can recommend. And I think she has her own pole site as well, like teaching and stuff. And I've seen that pole that she sells that other people promote, and also one from China that looks identical, and it's also silicone. So I wonder if we've seen the same thing. And I'm like, I wonder if I, you know, maybe I'll, you know, if everyone can chip in a little bit, I order a pole from these places that are meant to be reputable, and I literally test them, literally, like, you know, full on, give it welly, let's see how good these poles are. I've really wanted to do that for a little while, to go, hey, this is the pole from Amazon, or this is the pole from China, or whatever it is. This is why you don't buy that pole, or this is why actually it's better than you know, a lot of people give credit, whatever. I would not, you know, hold back. I would be trying to do my best to see how much it would budge. So yeah, anyway, that's just sort of come into my head because that's something I've been thinking about doing recently to hopefully help other people to compare the differences in these poles, okay, in these poles. Awesome. Okay, so where was I going? I'm sorry that I lost you for a minute. It was because I think I put you on the floor. Doesn't like being on the floor. So now once you've done the middle part checks, hey, did I just see stars? Catherine Malone, thank you so much. My stars, my lovely. Oh my gosh, I'm getting like these little stars every time I do a live. This makes me so happy. Okay, so we've done the top end of the pole, okay, with the extension and the middle bit, you're doing the check, okay, making sure that's all good. Grease it up, okay, make sure it can slide in and out nice and easy. And then you can take the grub screws off. So these are the ones that obviously undid the pole, okay. You can actually take these all the way out. Okay, and if you want to, what I do, what they recommend is, it might be a different thing, so, you know, check, is I spray into the holes, okay, and I spray into all three. Sorry, I'm all wobbly. Okay, and you can also like lube up the grub screws as well, and then you can obviously just put them back in like so. Okay, just a little bit each side. And then at least you know it's all lubed, and if you do need to take it down, it shouldn't be a problem, as in like, oh my god, what if it gets stuck? Because you've been checking it and you know how to put it together. Does that make sense? I personally don't take this apart, this bottom bit. I leave it as it is. Sometimes my partner will unscrew it, but I tend to look after, and I spray in it. That's why I take the grub screws out and spray in it to try and lube that up. like I said, if you have really damaged the thread inside through not unscrewing it enough, then you may need to get somebody to actually look at it and thread it back through. I personally don't take all that apart, okay? If you do have a problem, I think X-Pile are pretty good in fixing these problems. Don't hold me to that, because obviously since COVID they might not have the staff to do it, but I was pretty sure somebody actually sent their pole in where they ruined their threads and they actually fixed it. So always double check. You know, this is why it's always good to go with a reputable brand, rather than something off Amazon who don't really understand what you use it for, because they know how it should work. But that is pretty much how I do my checks. So it doesn't take very long at all. Yeah, simple as that. So I'm going to put it back up now, and now I'm going to clean it because I'm all greased. But yeah, that's as simple as that is. Does this make sense? Was this helpful? I know that was like, you know, it might have been a bit like, well, yeah, I do that anyway. Some of you might do it anyway, okay? But for those that don't, understanding how your pole works, how it, you know, tightens, how it doesn't tighten, you understand what, if it doesn't tighten, why it's loose. If it's loose and you can't tighten it, you need a new, the internal bit. Oh my God. Just so you know, I don't know if you guys know, I wrote it in the WhatsApp group chat, but my son's not been very well today, and I'm pretty sure the lack of sleep through the night last night as well is affecting my speech. I'm pretty sure. I know I'm rubbish most of the time, but today I feel super extra rubbish. Apologies. Okay, right. What's going on here? Let's have a little look. Oh my God, okay, no, human crash test dummy. But you could do a visual compare, but I wouldn't want to rely on that. Though my hubby broke one of my poles without, hang on. I'm reading without actually being in view. I'm sorry. Here we go. Okay. You could do a visual compare, but I wouldn't want to rely on that. Though my hubby broke one of my poles without even getting on it, so perhaps he could be your tester. This is it. I wouldn't even be doing anything crazy on it. I would literally be doing that test where I like proper yank it about. I've been doing the same on spin mode, like it literally get the chest, do a test with it. If you're afraid of giving your pole a good shake in case you think it's going to come down, then you don't have your pole up properly, okay? And you don't trust your pole. If you don't trust your pole, please don't use it. You should be able to hold on to that pole and give it welly, and it should not shift. You don't need to do it like up heaps or anything like that. With my, I've actually had to put a beam, an aerial beam, because I obviously do aerial hoop as well, into my ceilings, because my ceilings just didn't even work with the pole. So always be careful about that as well, guys. I mean, this was a bungalow, so there was no upstairs. So when I first put my tension pole up, I actually lifted the ceiling up. And so I had to get a beam put in, literally lifted it away, and that's without doing it up that tight, guys. You don't need to do it up mega tight. Don't think you need to keep twisting it or tightening it up as tight as you can. As long as there's some tension. I'm gonna wash my hands, then I'm gonna put the pole up, and then I'm gonna wash the pole, and I'll show you when I put my pole up in a minute. Actually, I'll do it before I wash my hands, how tight I do it. It's not horrendous. I actually make sure I only use one hand when I do it as well. Does that make sense? Can you use the pole straight away once a deep clean has been done? Yeah, I don't see why not. Absolutely go for it. Just always make sure that obviously when you put the pole back up, every time you use it again, test it, okay? You can always test it as you know, if you're halfway through your lesson, just give it a good shake. Just make sure the grub screws haven't loosened again, tighten them up, making sure the tension part in between with the X joints hasn't loosened. Just test it. It will change with like the heat, okay? Going into different temperatures when you're using your radiators, that kind of thing. Heat will make a huge difference into how tight your pole is. So the best thing you can do is check it every single session. You don't need to do a whole maintenance session like that, taking it down and you know, putting lubricant on anything. Literally do a test or check every time you go into your pole room. Test it, give it a good shake, just have a visual look. It will make a huge difference to you guys. Okay, fabulous. Right, let's put the pole up. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the pole up. So I do my pole slightly different in that you would usually probably put your pole down first and then twist. I'm actually going to put the top end in first and then swap the bottom into my space, just because I need to do that. as it won't fit in there, okay? It's because I've undone a bit of my mat, if that makes sense. So from here, I'm going to look it up, okay? So I'm going to put the top end, what you would normally put into your dome. It's going into my ball joint, so I'm going to push it up, so that's going to mean more lever to be able to move my pole around now. And then I'm just going to slot it down in that hole where I've put it in my mat, and I'm going to twist it up. So what you would do is you would literally line the bottom bit up with that marker on the floor that you've done. It doesn't have to be permanent, guys, okay? You can just use a bit of tape or pencil it or something, okay, around. So you just line that up, okay, then you would just use, you've got your dome on top and you've got your line around your dome, and we will twist it up, making sure it's all aligned. So I twist it up like this, twist, 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 and then I feel a little bit of tension, I just use one hand and I twist, 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 until I feel like I have to give it a bit more welly, and then, I just test it. I don't want to be able to completely do this all the time, okay? You'll start to look just even like mine. So I literally only do a bit of a one-handed tension, okay? I could still keep going, but it should be really super easy. Does this make sense? You've got a part in the dome anyway, so you're all good. Then I will just tighten the pole up. Okay, the 3 grub screws. Okay, we've all lubricated these, so these should go in beautifully. So actually what I've done, this is another thing, okay, this is actually a great point, okay. I've just done the mistake here, not a mistake, but something to be aware of. I've just twisted my pole up, and then I've gone to tighten up the grub screws. If the grub screws do not sit flat, it's because you haven't aligned your pole with the X joint, okay. So what I mean by that, so I've just twisted it, and I've tried to can you see this one? Put this one in. Can you see it's slightly out? Don't use it if it's slightly out, okay? It's not aligned. So I'm just going to undo that again. And then if we go, put it out completely. Then if we go down a little bit, you're going to see a couple, there should be 3 keys. Let's get back in there. Okay, right. Then if we go down, can you see there's a key there? Okay, you've actually got 3. There's 3 on the pole, okay? So it doesn't matter which key it is, but can you also see there's a red line on your pole? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that on the pole? Let me come around a bit. I don't know if you can see that, but right there where my nail is, there, you can see it. Maybe I just hold the phone wrong. So right there's a line, and your key, okay, one of the 3 keys need to line up with that red line. Now, if you have an old pole, it might not be red, okay, but it should still be a line. I know one of my old poles isn't red, whether it worn off or whether it was never there, I can't remember. So I'm just going to turn the pole, so you just keep turning the tension until the key is aligned with that red line, okay? Then you should be able to put your grub screws in, and they will sit flat. Just show you that, okay? They are sitting flat. So this one I'm going to put in, and they should go all the way in. If they do not go all the way in, don't use it. Oh my God, what are you doing, Kelly? Okay, so once I've done them in with the long end, I use the short end, I just put it in, and just again, slight tension, okay? So from here, a little bit of tension, beautiful. Bit of tension. Get in there. Bit of tension. Does this make sense? I'm so sorry if this is really boring. Okay, so now I've tightened up my pole, okay? Right, I'm all in again. I'm going to grab the pole. I'm going to give it welly. Is it moving? Okay, is it shifted? Has I just shifted it from the dome? Okay, is the bottom bit moved? If it feels loose, like it's when your joints are, if you're like, oh, that feels a bit looser than normal, you should get to feel what normal is. If you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that, go and grab your Allen key again, and then you would just put it in. Okay, put it in whilst it's up, and you just try and see if you can tighten it up. Okay, I shouldn't be able to tighten these because I've done it quite well. You tighten it up. Ta-da! Okay, imagine I've done it right. And then I would go again. I'm like, that feels better. It's much more tighter. Lovely. Feels much safer. Okay, so you've done your check, you've put it up, you've tested it again. Job's a good one, okay? Alrighty, so all I'm going to do now is clean the pole. What you clean the pole with is completely up to you. So what I would do with a silicone pole is I would just get like a cloth and like like a bucket or something, a sink, so that you can use with some cloths. We'll give the pole a clean with a little bit of fairy dish. Oh my God, washing up liquid. Oh, I'm so frustrated with myself today. Just can't always get my words out. Really, really frustrating. So yeah, a little bit of fairy up liquid, give it a good clean, and then I would wipe it off again. So I am going to do that because I'm going to do it anyway. So if you want to stay with me and chat with me, you're welcome to. If you're like, this is boring as shit, I need to leave, go for it. I won't be offended, okay? So I'm just going to grab a couple of cloths and a bowl of soapy water, okay? So give me literally 2 minutes. Alrighty, how many of you have I lost? How many of you are bored shitless? Okay, just put that down there. Alright, so I've literally just got a bowl of soapy water, grab my cloth. Now a silicone pole will feel like, well, it's sticky, so you won't just be able to grab the cloth as normal like you will with a metal finished pole, which you'll be like, oh, it grips. So what I do is I just tend to take my it over my hand and then wrap it around, and then just holding the bottom bit with my thumb just to keep it still, and then I can literally give it a good scrub. Okay, now you can do this if you can't like reach to the top. Obviously you could climb first and do it, or you can do it whilst it's on the floor. It's completely up to you. Depends on how messy it is and how much you need to give it a good scrub. Again, you can always give it a good clean every day. So I'm just giving it a good scrub. I'm going to put a bit more soapy water on it just to clean all the gunk off. So I know a lot of you, my members, have silicone poles or wraps. If you've got a wrap, guys, take it off, stick it in a sink. Give it a wash that way. Far better than just doing it on the pole. Okay, right around the bottom. Alright. So once I'm happy with the clean, I will just literally go and empty this water now, and I'm just going to rinse it. So I've just got warm water, just no soap basically, so we can clean off the excess. Because if you leave soapy, soapy water on your pole, it's going to be slidey to use. So to minimise the slide, we need to get that soap off. Alright, so this is just, like I said, plain water. Are we still here? Are you still awake, people? So, get that cloth, okay, giving it a good wash out, and then just going to wipe the pole down so it's just with the plain water, no soap, just taking off any of that soap that's left on the pole. Okay? because like I said, if you don't take it all off, it will feel slippy. You can either let it dry on its own, unless it's super wet, or you can just use a cloth and I literally just dry it down. So again, I do the same thing, just wrapping the cloth around my hands and giving it a wipe down. And it's all looking beautiful. There we go. So we're all good to use again. Feels good. Okay? That is basically how I would check my pole doing maintenance. Maybe once a month is what I would recommend that you guys do it. You know, at least taking it down and taking it apart and checking it. You may feel that when you take it apart, you may feel the lubrication still on your X joints and you might not need to do it. So if they're still good, you don't need to reapply any lubricant, you know, that because you're doing a monthly check. So I tend to have to spray mine maybe every 6 months to a year. It's not very often at all. And it doesn't take very long. Anyone still? I'm glad you're still awake here. I'm not bored, but I have to go. Mum's, oh bless you, no worries, Jennifer. Saved by the bell, I would say that is. Glad you're still awake, Tanisha. That's good to know. Easier than cleaning the grip wrap. Oh yeah, so much easier with the grip wrap, because I've got the grip wrap on my aerial pole. Is it called an aerial pole? Is that what people call it? I don't know. Fly, leave it to dry. Don't do anything with it. Yeah, so either way. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful to you. You know, which spray? What's a spray as in like the lubricant spray? I just usually like WD-40. This is something very similar. Occasionally it's quite an old can, but it is the same as a WD-40. But any lubricant that you have, you can use. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's it really. Hopefully that helps, guys. Make sure you look out holes, won't you? If you've never done a it told me it needed to reconnect as it came to the crucial part. If you have never checked your pole ever, please do ASAP. Okay, before you use your pole next, get the pole down, book it into your diary, okay, as a session that you need to do to make sure that the pole is safe enough for you. Because if you continue to use a pole that you haven't checked, it may come down, and if you do yourself some damage, don't tell me, I can't, you know, I can't say I didn't warn you. Okay, always check it. If you're not sure, if it doesn't feel right, and if you check it every day, you're going to feel what's normal and what's not normal. So the minute it loosens, you're like, holy shit, I need to sort my pole out, yeah? But if you're not used to checking it and you just jump on it, you know, from one day to another, that's where you see people literally jumping on the poles and they're flying down and like smashing through a window because they haven't checked their pole. It's as simple as that, and it doesn't take long. Okay. I use oil. Yeah, any lubricant is going to work, guys. This stuff is literally called multi-purpose lubricant spray. Does the job. Okay, it really doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to use anything in particular to be able to grease up your X joints. Okay, does this make sense? What you choose to clean your actual pole with is completely up to you, and obviously is going to depend on what kind of pole you use. I still actually do exactly the same thing on my chrome pole. I still use Fairy Up liquid and I wipe it down with a cloth. But you know, you got to remember that it's pretty much only me using the pole. You know, when I was in the studio, I use vodka, or you know, I know some of you guys do that as well to clean the pole a little bit more, but you know, for me, Fairy Up liquid works quite well. Okay, cool. Lubricant, should I say? Maybe that's why it unscrewed. Hang on, I need to do my pole clean tomorrow. Not done it in over 5 months. Cool, well done for making sure that you're doing it. Yeah, lubricate it, making sure that, you know, it can tighten up nice and easy. If it's, you know, if it's not lubricant and it's really like stiff to be able to move, you may not be able to tighten your pole very well, which is why it's, you know, just do it. Just do it. Just give it some grease. Give it some love. It will love you for it. Anyway, right. I'm going to love you and leave you now, peeps. I have lost some of you, which is fair. I've been going on, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day. Bye.